This
Okay.
conference will now be recorded.
So VNet is it's a private network within Microsoft Azure. Okay. What is subnet? Breaking down the large network into smaller parts, we call them as a subnets. Okay. What is the formula to calculate the IP address? 2 power 32 minus n. Okay. If I use by 24, how many number of IPs I'm going to get? 256. But within Microsoft Azure, how many you are going to get? 251. Okay. The IP address will start with 0 to 255. Okay. Yeah. Till this point, it is fine. How many kind of IP addresses are there? What are they? Okay. IPv4, IPv6 is fine. It's private IPs and public IPs. In which scenarios you are going to use public IP and in which scenarios you are going to use private IPs? So first, let's discuss. Azure network is private network, right? VNet. Anyone from the outside world, they want to communicate or like just consider like this. You have a VM. For that VM, how the VM is created, it is using one private network. Outside the world wants to connect to that VM. So in that case, which VM you want, which IP you have used? Public IP. In which scenarios you can use private IPs? If you are already inside that network, if you are already inside that network, then you can make use of private IPs. If you are not connected to the private network and you are trying to access it from somewhere else, then you can make use of public IPs. Okay. And yesterday we are discussing about peering. What do you mean by peering? If you want to connect two or more virtual networks, then we make use of peering. How many peerings are there? Okay, what are they? VNet peering and global VNet peering. In which scenario you go with VNet peering and in which scenario you go with global VNet peering? Then we use global VNet peering. Okay. Now let's do that practically. Okay. So I have a VM right now. So I want to prove that, right? So for your reference, I'm going to show you VNet peering in Azure portal. So they will give you the documentation. So based on the documentation, you can go with your practice. Okay. Connect virtual networks with virtual network peering using the Azure portal. That means through the user interface. Okay. So prerequisite is what you need to have. You need to have a subscription. Sign in into the portal. Once you sign in into the portal, then what you need to do, you need to create one network. And see, they have created VNet 1 and they have specified some address for it. And then they created it. And also you need to have one more virtual network, right, to connect. Okay. To connect it, we need to have one more VNet. So for that, we need to create one more VNet and then we need to pair it. That's it. So how many VNets I need to have right now? VNet 1 and VNet 2. Once I made the pairing connection, it will show that it is connected. Then how can you prove that it is connected? It will show that it is connected. Then how you can prove it? So just consider like this. Create two VMs. By taking VNet 1, create VM 1. Okay, I'll just try to explain this here. Save it. This is VNet 1 and this is VNet 2. And I have a VM1 from VNet 1 and VM2 from VNet 2. And I say that these two are connected. First, I will log in into this VM1. Okay, I logged in. Now, from this VNet or from this VM, I will try to connect to this RDP. Now I can use public IP or private IP? Private IP. How? Because you are already inside the VM. That means you are inside the network. So from this VM, try to connect to the second VM by using private IP. If it is connected through the private IP, then that means the connection is established. Okay, so let's do that practically. We need to have two VNets and two VMs. Those two VNets from the same region or different region. Okay, so I'm just trying to make it from the scratch. So first I want to create a VNet. I have all this, forget about this. I'm creating two VNets. So under which resource group? I want to create a resource group. RG VNet. RG VNet 1. This is the resource group name. And I'm going to keep it as my VNet 1. And I want it to be created under West US. Go to next. Specify the IP address here. Fine. I don't want to use of anything. Just review and create it. I created one VNet in West US3 in one resource group. Okay. I'm trying to create one more VNet in another resource group. Whether the region should be same or different. First, I want to prove peering. So that's why what I'm trying to do, I want to keep the region in same location. Okay. While this is getting created, I'll take the duplicate and I'll try to create it from here. Here itself is very fast. Okay, VNet 1 is done. Now I want to create VNet 2. So create, I'm going to keep this under RG VNet 2. RG VNet 2. And I'm going to name this as my VNet 2. I want this to be created under West US 3. Okay, review and create it. IP address, everything is fine. If you want to check, you can check it. It will start with 10.3.0.0. First VNet was 10.2.0.0. Okay. Now these two VMs are created. Now I want to create VMs from these two VNets, right? Okay. So, okay. Let's make this happen. So to creating the VMs, it will take some time. Even the peering also will take 5 to 10 minutes. First we will do the peering and then we create the VMs from those two. Okay. First we will create peering and then we will create the VMs and let's see how we can make this connection. So this is done and let's go back to the portal and here you can see from this VNet, whatever the resource I have created from this VNet 1, I want to share the resources to the second VNet resources. So first open the first VNet and on the left side you will be able to see the peering concept. Within the VNet you will be getting a concept called peering. So click on this peering. Do you want to add the peering? Yes. What is the peering link name? Peer link 1. Random name. Do you want to allow the traffic? Yes. Traffic forwarded from the remote virtual networks? Yes. Keep everything as allowed. And virtual network gateway or route server. Only this keep as just take the defaults. None. What is the remote virtual other network? Peer link 2. The other virtual network. So this is VNet 1 and this is VNet 2. Which model you want to use, resource manager or classic? Wherever you see classic, ignore that because it is a very old model. Everybody is using resource manager now. Even in real time nobody is using classic. I'm just going with the default resource manager. Which subscription you want to see? If you know the resource id, just keep it as resource id, and if you want to provide it, you can provide, or else just remove this. Which subscription? It is free trial. What is the other virtual network name? VNet 2. Okay, here see, from VNet, here it didn't ask because this is clearly VNet 1. Here it is VNet 2. Okay. Do you want to allow the traffic? Yes. Do you want to allow the traffic from the remote VNet? Yes. Just take all the defaults. Add list. Adding virtual network peering, and see this peering link status is getting updated. While this is getting updated, we create the VMs. So I want to create virtual machine. Why we are creating virtual machines? To show that the communication is happening between these two VNets. So virtual machine, and I'll take from here also. So I want to create a VM, but that VM should be in where? It should be created from this VNet resource group, and it should be VM VNet 1. This is the name of the VM. STUS 3, no infrastructure redundancy, standard Windows, and then I want to keep this as 1 vCPU and 3.5 GB RAM. SA admin, welcome at 123456. Not welcome, India at 123456. Fine. Do you want to allow the selected ports? Yes. Allow the selected port RDP. Just take the defaults. Okay. And if you go to the VNets networking concept, this is where you need to select your VNet. How automatically it has taken my VNet one? Because you are trying to create it in the same resource group, and it is taking the default port, default subnet, and a public IP will be created to this. Fine. Everything is fine. Review and create this. While this is getting created, we will create another VM here. Okay. So the resource group is VNet2, and the VM name is VM hyphen VNet 2. Rest was 3 common, and I'll use Windows only here also. I'll keep 3.5 GB of RAM. SA admin and India 123456 6. Allow the selected ports. I'm just keeping RDP itself because I want to connect to the machine through RDP only, right? So that's why I'm allowing RDP. And go to networking tab. You can see there VNet2 default port subnet. Just create it. Yeah, validation passed on this, and here also validation passed. So the two VMs are getting created. Okay. Now let's see the peering status. So if you go to virtual networks, no, let this continue or else it will stop. Yeah. Once you get this page, then you can go back. Go to virtual networks. From VNet 1 to VNet 2, I'm trying to connect, right? So just go to VNet 1. Go to peering option. Here you can see that it is connected. Now we need to prove it. So that's why I created the two VMs. Okay. And we'll wait for it while this gets created. Meanwhile, I'll open this MSTSC. I'm showing you for VNet peering, but when you want to do it for like I'm showing you the process of VNet peering, but I want you guys to try for global VNet peering. Okay. When I say global VNet peering, what you need to do? Different regions. That's it. So even if you want to see that in a practical documentation, global VNet peering in Azure portal. Whatever the spelling mistake, but it will find out right. So connect to VNets with VNet peering. So you can get the document also from here. So global VNet peering in Azure portal. So just go to this documentation on the left side. You will be having that global VNet peering also. So see this service chaining, fine, fine. Air networks. Somewhere you will get this documentation also. You just need to spend some time. Okay. I'm just trying to show it to you where it is. Even if it is there, even if there is no documentation, that's fine. You can do the global VNet pairing. Okay. So the VMs are created. So first, let me see the first VM. So VNet 1 VM. Okay. Login into this VM. So this is the public IP to connect to the VM. So see here, I'm just using the public IP of the first VM to connect to that VM. See this and connect. It is going to ask for the username and password. SA admin. Yeah, 812345 So you have logged into the first VM. Okay, this is fine. Now take this. Go to the second VM. For the second VM, we need to take private IP or public IP. What do you guys think? For the second VM, I need to take private IP or public IP? Private IP. Why? Yes. So this is the private IP of the VM. Take this, copy. But these many sessions are there. Close this. Yeah, this one is not required. And this is the one that we are just logged in right now. Yeah, this is the one. So cancel this. So this is the VM, right? So now I logged into my VNet 1 first VM. So here, from here, I want to do MSDSC and keep the private IP address. Now try to connect it. If it is asking for the username password, that means we are able to connect to the VM or not. So just provide the username and password, then you will be able to log in into this VM. If you are not able to connect immediately, you won't get this page. Okay, so that means we are able to connect it, right? Now, still I have a doubt whether it is connected or not. What I will do is, I will log in into the system. So now the connection is getting established to the private IP. Once it is logged into the system, I will make that pairing connection disconnected. Whether this will be also disconnected, understand this. So I went into the first VM and I done RDP to the second VM with the private IP. How? Because I'm already inside the private network of the first VM. Since these two are connected, then I'm able to log in into the VM. That is fine. See, now it is able to. If you just make this side, see this. You are in this VM, right? Copy this. Yeah, you are in the VM right now. Now, what I will do is, since those two VMs are connected through the private IP, I am going to cancel this VNet pairing. I'm going to delete this. Still, it will be connected or disconnected. Yes, let's see. I'm just going to delete this connection and see what happens in these VMs. It will be getting disconnected. So just wait for it. Yeah, deleted virtual network pairing. So there is no pairing as of now. Okay. We need to give some time for it actually. See, the remote connection has been lost. So you can clearly say that it is working on pairing. Okay. This is fine. Till this point, it is fine. From VNet 1 to VNet 2, I am able to connect. What about VNet 2 to VNet 1? We can connect. Let's try that also. So VNet 2 means VM2, right? Okay, I'm just going to log off from this VM1 and go to second VM. Okay, again we need to establish the pairing connection. I'll do that. Add pairing, and I'm in VNet 1 now. I don't want to be in VNet 1. Or else do this, consider like this. I am connecting the private networks from vnet 1 to vnet 2. Again, I'm trying to do the same connection. So peer link 1, peer link 2, and the VNet that I want to connect is second VNet, and just go with the defaults. From VM1 to VNet VM2, I'm able to connect because I connected my from my VNet 1 to VNet 2. Can you do the reverse? What do you guys think? VNet 2 to VNet 1. Let's see. Yeah, it shows that it is connected. So how I can prove that practically? First, I need to log in into the second VM. So copy mstsc, this one, and I want to log in into this system. Now I logged into the second VM. Now by taking the private IP of the first VM, I need to log in from the second VM. So if you go down here, you will be able to see the private IP of the first VM. Take this. Yes. Cancel. Minimize it. MS, MST, private IP of the first VM. You are able to connect it. So the vice versa is possible. VNet 1 to VNet 2, if you connect it, if you want to connect from VNet 2 to VNet 1, also possible. You just need to make only one peering connection. That's it. Okay. So till this point, any doubt? This is going to be an interview question. They are going to ask, I have one VM in one VNet. I have other VM in other VNet. I want to establish a connection between these two because I want to share some resources. How I can do this? You need to use peering concept. What about if the two VNets are from different regions? Global VNet peering. Can you explain me the process of setting up peering? They won't see it, right? Explain it. Go to. So you need to explain in a very good way. Let's consider we have two VNets. We want to connect a VNet from to VNet to. So go to first VNet, and on the left side you will be able to see an option called peering. There you need to set the peering link. So when you create a peering link, there it is going to ask you, do you want to allow the traffic? Do you want to forward the traffic? What is the peering link name? And what is the subscription resource ID? Everything it is going to ask. Once if you click on OK, then it is going to connect it to the second variant. How can you prove it? Log in into the first VM, then take the private IP of the second VM and log in into the second VM by using private IP. That's it. So you need to explain like this. Okay. So till this point, it is fine. We still have some time. So let's discuss about the VMs right away. Each and every time when you are trying to create a VM, till now we have seen two tabs. One is basic, second one is networking. Then what about the other things? Let's go to disk. Actually, how many disks are there? Two kinds of disks are there. The type of the disk. Let's consider in the pen drive also we have two types, class C and class B. Class C pen drives are very much faster when compared with Class B. During the initial stages of the pen drive, if you want to upload 1 GB of data to the pen drive or the copy, it will take a lot of time. But right now, if you take the pen drives, it is very fast. How? Because of its class. We have Class B and Class C. Class C pen drives are very much faster. Like the same way, right now in your laptop, you have a hard disk, right? So, is it what kind of hard disk? If your hard disk fail, what you are going to do if the hard disk is not working, you are going to a mechanic shop and you are like computer accessory shop, you are going to purchase one more. they are going to say that do you want HD or SD? HD means hard disk drive. SD means solid state drive. HDD, SSD. Hard disk drive, solid state drive. In that, which one is cost? Solid SSD is cost. Why? More performance. More performance. The input output operations in that SSD is going to be high. That's why high cost. Like the same way, for your VM, we have operating disk, right? See this. What is the OS disk type? You want SSD or HDD? See the tires here. Premium SSD, standard SSD, standard HDD. Best for backup and non-critical and infrequent access. Standard SSD. Best for web servers, lightly used enterprise applications and dev or test environment. If it is for production environment, you can make use of premium SSD because of its performance. Okay. Do you want to delete this? Delete the disk when you are trying to delete the VM itself. If you keep this as enabled, it is not going to ask you. There, when I'm trying to delete it, I have selected some options, right? If I select it here itself, it will along with the VM, this data disk, this OS disk also going to be deleted. And see this. What is the encryption type? Like this is the encryption method. How the data needs to be stored and accessed. So this is the default encryption method. That's fine. And enter ultra like enable ultra disk compatibility. See, if you want to have a high throughput IOPS, IOPS stands for input output operations, and consistent low latency. Latency you already know, right? And disk storage for Azure IaaS VMs. Okay, fine. So this is also related to the performance wise. The more number of performance you keep for a VM, the higher the cost is. Okay. And what about the data disk? So as of now, if you go to the VMs, if you go to the virtual machines, I created the VM1, right? Okay, for the VNet 1 VM, see the number of resources it created. It created 6 resources in that resource group. So directly I can move to the resource group from here. Okay, see, disk is there. What kind of disk is it? OS disk. Okay, if you want to find whether it is a standard HDD or a normal SSD, you can see it here itself. It is a premium SSD. So if you take the premium SSD, it is going to take you a lot of dollars. Okay. Now I found what my disk is. If I log in into the VM, if you do Windows E, it is File Explorer. Now this PC. Here we have 126 GB. And what is the size for it? 117 GB is free. What about this 7 GB? It's a temporary storage. Microsoft will always recommend you not to store anything here, because if you store here, once the system gets corrupted, it won't be reversible. Then where can I store the data? Hmm? C driver. No, understand this. So C drive is only for program files and everything. We already know it. All the system configuration files will be on the C drive. I want to store some movies. All those things I want to store. I have temporary storage which is 7 GB. But if I want to store one movie here, what Microsoft will suggest is do not store anything there, because if your VM gets corrupted, we can retrieve back the VM, but the data that is stored inside this VM is not possible. So that's why they will never recommend you to store anything here. That's why they made it as temporary storage. So this. See the data loss warning, readme file. Any data stored on this drive is subjected to loss and there is no way to recover it. If there is any problem in the C drive, they will be able to access it somehow. But here it is not possible. Please do not use this disk for storing any personal or application data. Okay. Now I have a VM. For that VM, I have 125, 126 GB. That 126 GB, I want to keep it for program files and everything. Now I want to store some data into this VM, and I have a storage called temporary storage. In this, I cannot store anything. Then what is the next step that I can do? We have one more service called disks. You can create your own disk and attach it to the VM. Okay, I want to create a disk. It is like a hard drive. So under which resource group you want to create it? VNet one. What is the disk name? My movie disk. Test US 3. Availability zone. Keep it as none. As of now, you don't know anything about this. What is the size of the disk that you want? I want 4 GB of size, and this is fine for me. Do you want premium or normal? I will just go with the standard HDD. I want 32 GB. Fine. See this. I just selected 4 GB. So wait. So standard. I'm just taking standard HDD, 32 GB. Click on yes. Why it is showing for some issue or what? Yeah. Disk is queue, standard HDD, and see here, customize the disk size. I want only 4 GB. If you want to take only 4 GB, you can take this 4 GB. Next, encryption method. Wherever you see encryption, just take everything as a default. So just take basic, and all these things are not required for you, even in the real time also. Just create this. You have just created a disk, and now you want to store the information into the disk. Okay. Now you created it. Did you attach this disk to the any VM? No. How can you attach the disk to the VM? This is what the next concept is. So when I create the VM, by default it gave me the C drive. There I cannot store my own data. So for that I have one more service called data disk. I created one disk and I want to attach this disk to the VM. Then only I will be able to store any information into that disk. Let's consider the disk is like a pen drive. You can take this pen drive and attach it to any laptop, right? You can attach it to my laptop and then detach it and again attach it to another laptop. Like the same way you can do the same thing to the disk, but it is not a pen drive, it is a disk. Okay, the disk is created and see my movie disk. Now I want to attach this to a VM, right? So click on the disk and see here, do we get any option here to attach? No. So then how? Create a VM is there, size is there, configuration is there. In the configuration part, if you go for this VM, you can increase the size also. That is fine. Size and performance, you can increase the size. Earlier I created it with 4. If I want to make it to 32, I can make it 32. Now till this point it is fine. I have the disk ready. I'm able to see the disk information here. Now I will go to the VM. If I go to the VM, this is the VM, right? Yes. Go to disk here. Now here, if I want to add the data disk, I can add the data disk here. If you see here, it is OS disk. OS disk, I already have a OS. Now I want to have the data disk to be attached to the VM. I went into the VM and here I can attach a new disk. But I am already having the disk, right? Attach existing disk. And LUN stands for logical unit number. It will start with 0, 1, 2, 3 like this. So let's keep it as something like that. And this is the disk name, right? 4 GB and 500. And just save this. Now I just attached the disk, 4 GB of disk. Now is it available to see it in the VM? Okay, let's see. Once this is attached, we will go to that VM and we'll see whether it is. This is first VM or second VM. I attached it to first VM. Cancel this. Login into the first VM. So this is attached. See this. Go to overview and take this public IP. Set me. No. Now tell me whether you will be able to see the disk in that VM or not. What do you guys think? Yes. Okay, let's see. Where I can see the disk, Windows C, File Explorer, and this. Is there? No, it is not there. Then what you need to do? So go to search button, look for disk management. Look for disk management. Disk cleanup is there. Defragment is there. What we need to do? So if you take disk management dot msc, disk management dot msc, diskmgmt. So I'll show you the command here. Disk management dot msc. MSc stands for Microsoft Corporation. So it's a Microsoft inbuilt feature, that one. So now, if you see here, it is showing that a new disk is available. Do you want to initialize it? Master reboot or partition table? So just go with the defaults. You don't have to change anything. Just click on it and see here. What was the size of our disk? If you see here, OS disk is there and it is 126 GB. What is the other disk temporary storage? It is 7 GB. Just scroll down. You will be able to see your 4 GB of them. Now this is the one that I want to make use. Now what I can do? So no, now you need to initialize. You need to create a volume from this new sample value. Click on next. What is the GB? 4 GB. Click on next. Do you want to give it a letter for the drive? C drive, D drive, E drive, F drive I want to give, and then click on next. Do you want to format this? If you want to format it, keep it as. See a you are going to see one more disk with the new volume F. And what is the size of it? 3.96 GB. Now go back to here and you are able to see your new disk here. Whatever if you want to store, you can store it in this disk drive. And once after storing, you can disconnect that drive from there and attach it to any other VM. Understood? So the question that comes in the real time for you about this is how can I store my data into a VM? So you cannot store it under temporary storage. So where you are going to store it? You need to create a disk and attach the disk to the VM. And once after that, you can detach this disk and attach it to another VM. Okay, so that you will be having the data always in the data disk itself. Even if the VM is gone, still the data is available in data disk. Okay, so now how we can detach it? Go to the first VM, go to disk. Here it is already attached, right? So just detach this and save this. So just cancel it and save it. That's it. Again, you won't be able to see that here. See, gone. Just do Windows C. This PC, it is gone. Okay. So this way also we can make use of disks. Okay. So till now what we have done was we have completed three tabs in the VM: basic, disk, networking. What about the management? See, Microsoft Defender Cloud, what it is a paid one, and if you want to use it, you can use it, but in real time, nobody uses this. It's a paid one. Do you want to enable monitoring for this VM? Yes. What kind of monitoring? Boot diagnostics. Enable with managed storage account. What happens is, even if the VM is not responding, if you are unable to start it automatically, then some log information will be stored somewhere in that VM, right? So if you want to see that log information, you can enable this feature. That's it. And yeah, this is fine. Login with Azure AD. You know about Azure AD, right? Active Directory. On the Active Directory level, I will give you the permissions to log in into the VM. So once if the role is there for you, then only you will be able to log in into the VM. So if you want to specify, you can do this. I have a requirement. I want to start my VM daily in the morning 9 and stop at the night 10. Why you need to do that? Because after 10 10 p.m. nobody will be accessing the VMs. I want to stop the cost. I want to reduce the cost. At that time, you can enable auto shutdown. At what timings? And if you want to provide any notification to this person, you can provide the notification also. Okay. Now, do you want to take the backup of this VM? Yes, if you want to take the backup and see what are the options it is going to ask. Which backup you want, standard or enhanced? Nobody is going to take this backup policy because there is another way. Okay. Guest OS updates. So now you are using a operating system of Windows. How often do you want to update the operating system? Security patches will be there, right? See, for example, in my system, if I try to restart, see what happens: update and shutdown, update and restart. That means what? Some few patches has been they are trying to release. Do you want me to update my operating system like this? If you want to update it, you can provide update. And update from which? Where? Image default. Use the images default patch option. So whenever the Microsoft release the patch upgradations, take the default. Okay. And if you keep it as manual updates, you will automatically turn off the Windows updates, and whenever you want, you can manually pick it up. Okay. Next, go to advanced extensions. This is important. I want whenever I want to create a VM, in that VM already I want to have Notepad++ installed, and already I should have some Kaspersky antivirus. If you want all, what are all these extensions? If you want to install some extensions, you can install it while creating the VM itself. So if you keep the extensions turned on while creating the VM, it will install that extensions also and it will give it to you. What like select an extensions to install. Basic is incomplete. That's fine. Once if I provide the basic and if I go here, then I will be able to see. Do you want to install Kaspersky? Do you want to install IAS? So once if I specify all these things, then while the VM is getting created, automatically it will get installed. VM applications and custom data and cloud init. See, now whenever the VM is getting started, so just see this. This is my local system, right? If I go to services, I'm able to see all the number of services that are running or stopped. Okay, so let it open. I'm able to see all the services that are in running or stopped status. Now I have a situation. Whenever the VM is getting created, automatically Kaspersky is getting enabled. So here in the extensions, I am just installing the Kaspersky, but I don't want to start it automatically. I want to stop it first. What you do is first you will install the extension, and once the VM is created, then you will go to the services and you will stop it manually. But I want to stop it automatically while the VM is getting created. So then you need to provide some script for it, automatic script. So you are going to provide stop service Casper Sky. Once the extension is installed, it is going to take this custom script and then it is going to stop the service. So this is also an interview question. While the VM is getting created, I want to execute a script. Is it possible or not possible? Yes, it is possible. You need to go for custom data. Okay, and these are fine. These are related to what do you call proximity and all those things. See, proximity placement groups allows you to group Azure resources physically closer together in the same region. See, if you want to keep those two, whatever the VMs that you are trying to create, if you want to keep those two VMs in together in nearest location, that means what happens? If you keep it in nearest location, there will be low latency. If you want to keep them like this, you can keep it. Capacity reservations. Capacity reservations allow you to reserve capacity for your virtual machine needs. You get the SLA as normal virtual machines with the security of reserving the capacity ahead of times. See this. As of now, for your free subscription, how many number of VCPs you can use? Four. If you want to increase the quota, can you increase it? Yes, we can increase it, but we need to send a mail to the Microsoft team. then only they will be allowing you to enable the what we call quota for your instances. So see, these are very basic things. And if you want to provide tags, you can provide the tags. What are the tags that you have used in the real time? Can you explain one or two? Application owner, business owner, cost center, environment. All these are the different kind of tags that you can provide. And once you do this, then you know already this. Okay, so these are the options in the VM. Okay. Till this point, any doubts?